But it's complicated, right?
Yes. I feel like this could spiral, and we could talk about this for the next 3 hours.
It's a complicated situation.
I asked for your phone number, and I was like, oh, I'm married. And he was like, you don't have a ring on. And I was like, yeah, it hurts the money. You shouldn't have to do this job.
All the time. And
how do you feel about your outfit?
I just like how he motioned over the chest. Because it's just like, I know where you're looking.
Changing 100.
Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you're new. My name's Krystal.
My name's Tori.
We're Party Pit Dealers. We're here to tell you all the fun stuff about party pits, all the crazy stories, all the fun stories,
everything about gambling, casinos, ins and outs, rules you should follow.
All in Vegas.
Everything here.
We're in Vegas.
Welcome to Changing 100.
Maybe one day we'll go to Macau.
I've always wanted to go to Macau.
Me too.
I studied them in school.
You did?
Yes. Because I was a hospitality management degree, and I had to take a series of casino classes. I learned about Macau. I really want to go.
I know very little about Macau. I just know they have a very nice casino there.
Yeah, super nice casinos, but a lot of the casinos here are also in Macau.
Oh, yeah, like Resorts World, right? They have a Macau.
Oh, do they have a Resorts World in Macau?
Or MGM.
There's a Wynn property, MGM property. I'm sure there's Resorts World.
Sure.
But and then there's like some randoms. But no, that would be so fun. We could go to Macau.
But for now, we're Vegas. We're Vegas girlies.
Boo.
So we're gonna start out with our WTF updates. I don't have one for myself this week.
I don't really have any good ones either. Maybe it was a tame week.
Which is like,
I didn't have anybody crazy. I didn't have any crazy players. No wild stories.
But we did hear of a couple wild stories from another property. No names, no property names. It has to be confidential. But we can say that it did happen. If you guys want to know money, gambling, like big, we talk about high limit players. We talk about big gamblers. And one of the episodes we were like $10,000. That's like a high limit player. Well, we just heard of someone losing $24 million betting up to $400,000 for one hand, and
he lost that in 4 days.
4 days.
4 to 5 days. He lost $24 million.
That's my house, my cars. That's my whole block.
That's every single. I was like, that is every single girl on our team's house and car
and more
and everything.
Right.
Yeah. 24 million in 4 days is something I can't even imagine.
Right?
Because I'm like, if you're chill with losing that in a weekend, like, how much do you have? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have like hundreds of thousands, if not billions.
At that point, I feel like you're making so much money every day, you can't spend it fast enough.
Right.
Right.
So why not come to Vegas? You might as well have just given the dealers 12 million.
Oh, we should have asked that question if that person actually drops money or not.
Should we pause?
Well,
we don't know if he tips
we don't know if he tips. I do know of another player who plays millions, like 1 to 2 to 4 that does tip. Like he'll drop $10,000 for the dealers. Yeah. But yeah, that's our what the fuck update this week that we heard. That isn't ours personally, but we know of
from another property,
and it's confirmed. And when we heard the story, we were both like, what the fuck? That's, as a dealer, like, how would you feel just taking for 4 days, hand after hand,
but not even just a hand, like you taking 400,000. It's how long does a baccarat hand take? You deal baccarat.
It's 2 seconds. It's one card. Flip it over. Oh, natural 9. Boop. Like it's that fast.
Like crazy. That's insane. That's so much money. Especially if you're not tipping. But at that point, I just had this conversation with one of the girls we work with. She was talking about like regulars that come and how they're not like great tippers. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, honestly, if you're flying to Vegas every couple months and you're losing tens of thousands of dollars in like a 2-3 day period, I'm really not expecting that much from you. Yeah. To be honest, I'm not. Like, Should you tip? Yes. Maybe that's why you're losing. But like, I'm not expecting that much. You know, like she has a player that comes in every few months, probably loses like 30 grand in a weekend, but he's not a big tipper. And I'm like, I'm not surprised he's not a big tipper. And honestly, I'm not expecting that much, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
100%. Like we're
yeah.
reasonable people.
Right.
Like
Like, does he tip when he wins? Yes. Does he tip when he colors up? Yes. Like, but I'm not expecting anything crazy from you. I know 2 months ago you lost 40K and now you're back and you're already down 20K. Like,
yeah.
am I expecting you to throw me a purple chip when you win one spin? No.
Right. Like I can pay you out a significant amount of thousands of dollars and not expect it because I mentally know
No.
I've seen the computer and I can see you're
God.
negative this
Yeah,
much.
24 million though. That's wild. I think that's probably the most I've ever heard, to be
I think
honest.
me too. I think unless you're like, I know of big celebrities that gamble here that I know have lost more than that. But for me, that's kind of like, it's like a different, right? Like it's a
Right.
different type of person that I
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, okay, I know how much money they make. So that much doesn't really like do anything for me.
Right. Right.
But when it comes to like a no name, like somebody I have no idea who he is, and then I find out now I'm like, what do you do?
No, I
Right?
always chat people up. I'm like, what do you do for work? What are
Yeah,
you in
well,
town for?
can I get
Are
in?
you
Are
writing
you
this
hiring?
off? Are you here for business? Right. No, are you hiring? Someone yesterday was like, I'm gonna get you employed, like I'm gonna keep you employed. And I was like, because they told me they were here like for business, and I was like, are you offering me a job?
Yeah.
Because I am looking.
Yeah. We
Are
love
you
our
you're here for
job,
business? Because
but
I
if
I want another one. I
yeah,
want a different job.
but if we can have a job that pays us the same or more and not have to wear a bra and a skirt and cocoa boots, we'll
I
take
just
it.
want the same amount of money in like a 4-day period and not a 6-day
Yes.
period. That's what I want,
Yes.
to be honest, which is possible.
But anyways, talking
I'm
about
trying.
tipping, um, we talk about tipping a lot. We've talked about it for 5 episodes. I think we've mentioned it in every single
Probably at some
episode.
point.
And we just want to say, like, officially, like, we do not expect it as, right, we're reasonable people. But in this industry, in this line of
Yeah.
work, I mean, we are kind of expecting
It's
it.
just it's customary. It's
It's
customary.
customary.
It's
Yeah,
like
that's the
going
word.
Here's the thing. It's like going to a restaurant in America, in the United States. I'm not going to say
Mm.
America. I'm sorry. In the United States.
Mhm.
It's customary to tip your server, right? You tip based off your service, like how good the food is, whatever, la di da da da. 20% typically normal. Um I'm a huge tipper, but that's because I know what it's like. Like
That's,
my
yeah.
dad, terrible tipper.
Me too.
I
My dad's a
remember
terrible
being a
too.
kid, like being a kid and going out to eat, and they would all like leave, and I'd be the last one to leave the booth, and I would look at the tip, and I would like add a 0 or I'd add a 1 in front of it, and I would tell them in the car, I'd be like, "You did not tip them enough." Like I knew that as a kid, you know.
I am the same
But
way.
also like now, like I'm a huge tipper, and my dad's always like when he comes to visit, he's like, you just give out a lot of money. And I'm like, that's because you've never worked in a tipping industry where all of your money is coming from you getting tipped. You've never had to do that.
My dad is
That kid
the
was
same.
trying.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
We have the same thing because I remember being a kid. My dad's just old, like he's older,
Mm.
and he's never had a tipping job either. So that's two things going against the poor server.
I know. And I'm like, that kid was trying.
Right?
It's not his fault
Right.
that
So,
your plate came out wrong. Should he have checked it? Maybe.
right.
Is he 18 years old? Yes.
But he still went and got your food and brought it back and asked you if everything
Right.
was okay.
Right. And he came back and checked, and your Arnold Palmer was always filled to the top. Like, he deserved 20%.
So I remember being a kid too, and my dad would leave $1 or two. But that's the era my dad grew up.
Yeah.
That was enough. That was more than enough to leave
Yeah.
$1 or two. And then once I started making my own money, I would always have cash in my purse if I knew I was going to go out with my dad, because I would go, oh yeah, go ahead, don't worry, I'm just going to grab the rest of my stuff. I'd pull the cash out, leave it on the table, and then I'd be like, yeah, we're ready, let's go.
Yeah. It's like, don't
Let's
look
go.
back. Go, go, go. Yeah. But that's because I understand. But I'm a huge tipper. But it is customary in the casino to tip.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, we're very nice human beings, but not all the dealers are. And if they're throwing you a lot of money, like if you're winning a lot, like I'm on roulette every day, so I'm just going to talk roulette. And if you have a roulette dealer that's been doing it for like 2, 3, 4 years and over that, you're not winning by accident.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. And then if you win 3, 4, 5 hands in a row when you first get there, and then all of a sudden you lose all your money, that's not an accident. I'll just leave it at that. It's not. I see it happen every day with the girls I work with. Like, if you gotta be tipping.
Yeah.
You do. And like, here's how I think about it, okay? You're coming to gamble. Not everyone's okay with it. But when I go gamble, I'm like $500. I'm chill with losing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to have a good time. Hopefully I win some money. If not, whatever. 500, I'm okay to losing. So if you're already putting money out, you should be okay with losing it because you're gambling. You should be okay with losing it. And if you're winning money, like now it's just free money.
Yeah. Now it's just
Now
like,
it's just free money. It's house money. Whatever.
icing
You're
on the
winning money.
cake. Yeah.
It's free money. Share the love. And we've talked about it before on roulette. Like, tip me what you bet.
Oh, I was watching this the other day. This guy got pushed out $800 and something, and the whole time I'm like watching. I was on dead game, and I
Waiting,
was
just waiting, right? For the tip.
waiting, and I was like, "Oh, he's not." And then finally he did it. He grabbed what the number that hit, and he goes, "That's for you." And I was like, "Thank you."
Tip me.
Like on the other
Yes.
side of the room, and I'm like,
Tip
"Good
me.
job."
Tip me what you bet. So if you're playing dollars, you hit $1, throw me that dollar. You throw me a dollar every time you hit, I'm ecstatic.
Yeah, because we're there for an hour, and if you're playing for the whole hour, that could be $20. That's for an hour. That's not bad, right? For spinning a ball and pushing chips out to you, right? At the end of the day, that's not terrible.
Yeah, but it is customary. Like we talk a lot about like hustling and like you know, like we're in a bar and you make money and this and stuff. But it is customary in a casino. Even if you go somewhere without a party pit, we make minimum wage. We are tip-based employees. Like if you're winning and you're doing well, and we've talked about grumpy.
Yeah, the grumpy.
We've talked about grumping dealers. We know. But when you hit your blackjack, you throw them that extra little chip. It's customary. It brings you good juju, brings the table good energy, makes your dealer like you a little bit better. Like, you know.
You saying good juju, I just thought of, when people play $15 minimum, they hit a blackjack and they get that extra $250 on top?
Mm-hmm. Well, we play 3 to 2, so they get that extra $250.
Yeah, a lot of casinos now pay 6 to 5 for most of their blackjack.
Right. We pay 3 to 2, so we give out the $250.
So I'm not expecting you to give me the whole $250, but maybe at least one of them, $1, right, for the blackjack.
Yeah, give the $250.
What people
but
ask
$1
me,
is okay.
A lot of people don't know. They go, "What is this?" Right, and they're all, "What is this? What is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, you got 32, blah blah blah." And what do I do with it? And I was just like, "Whatever you want," right? We're not supposed to ask for tips, so I don't do that. But when they place it on top of their bet for the next hand, I will say, not every time. Sometimes I'll go, "That's bad luck."
That's good. I'm going to start using that. That's bad luck. You shouldn't do that. You know what? One of the girls we work with who's been dealing for like 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
She's been all over the city. We need to have her on the show. She's worked in so many party pits. She'll point at it and she'll be like, that doesn't go there.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
She'll put it on the top. She'll be like, these white chips right here, that doesn't go there. And then they'll be like, where does it go? She's like, I don't know, but if you wanted to, you could put it at the front of the circle.
Yeah. I can tell
and then
you
that
right
way
now,
we're playing together because you're okay with losing it anyway. You might as well lose it to me. That's what she says. And it's really cute. But yeah.
I just tell them, or if they don't believe me, and I'm like, "Oh, you probably shouldn't bet the silver. At least the silver. Don't put it on your bet. That's bad luck." And they always lose. If they put that $2.50 or $1.50 on top, because sometimes they'll save the dollar for the cocktail waitress, and I'm like, "It's bad luck. Watch, you're gonna lose this hand." Or after the fact, if I don't say it at the beginning and they lose, I'll go, "You bet that 50-cent piece. That's why you lost. Don't do it again. It's bad luck."
Yeah. Smart. When I'm in roulette and we're at the like shared tables with the one wheel, 2 tables, 1 wheel, and if the other table I've noticed is like doing well but not tipping, I'll be like, hey, do you guys like her? Is she doing a good job? And they'll always be like, yeah. And I'll be like, she needs $4 more to make a 5.
Oh my gosh, I did that on accident one day.
I don't know if that's allowed. I
don't think it's
I don't think it's allowed. But let me tell you, it works. Because then people then people are like, oh, and then she'll get like $7 or $8.
way more than what
and then
she
after
needed, yeah.
that, it's like a thing.
Yeah.
Like every time they hit, then they're tipping and stuff.
So that happened on accident with me one day. One day I was telling the dealer next to me, it was the end of the night, and I was like, I need $4 more to make 100, and somebody walking by just threw a red chip at me, and I was like, thank you. I was like, I didn't mean for it to say that. Well, that person was like, that wasn't the point of me saying
Right.
it, but it just so happened to all, and I was just like, oh, I need 100.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think the way I do it is loud, but I do it. I haven't done it in a long time, but because I'm never on those tables anymore, or I'm rarely on those tables. But I used to do that. I'd be like, is she not doing a good job? Because I know she looks mean, but she really is nice. And then people will be like, no, she's great.
I love
I'll
when
be like, well, she's 2
floors
away
help.
from $25.
Yeah.
And then she can have a green chip and she can upgrade.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, and they're like, flicker money.
Yeah. Right when you phrase it that way, where it's like only $2 or $1 or $4, something
And
like
I
that.
feel like it's different when I'm doing it for someone else. I would never do that for myself.
Yeah.
I would never be like, hey, I need $2
Yeah.
and I'll have a $25 chip and then I can upgrade. I would never do it for myself, but I'll do it for another girl.
Or when our floors help us out.
Yeah, the floors are great. Some of them are
Some
great.
of them. Some of them will have our back, and
Yeah.
like if I pay out something big on a bonus, and they'll be like, "Take care of your dealer."
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it works.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't, but
Yeah. But
I know
it is customary. I don't think like full 20%. I know a lot of girls get
no.
upset.
20%'s a lot when you're gambling.
I think it depends what game you're playing. I think it
Yeah.
depends how much you're gambling.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing blackjack, like I'm not controlling your hands. Like
Right.
if I'm giving you advice because you're asking me for it and you're doing well,
Then
come on. Like then
Come
you
on.
should throw me something.
Yeah.
But if you're playing your own hand and you're doing well and I'm not telling you what to do,
A dollar here and there.
yeah,
You
that's
get a
fine.
blackjack,
Throw
you
me a
throw
5, play me a
250,
5.
5, yeah.
When I go gamble, I always play with the dealer.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the best way to do it.
Play with me, yeah.
It's the best way to do it because we're both in it together.
Yeah.
And it's more fun that way.
Right. When I rarely go play roulette because I just
You're a roulette
don't
dealer.
think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
I just
you're a roulette
wouldn't.
dealer.
It's not something I want to go do. I don't want to go play roulette. But if I go play roulette like with socially or something,
Mhm.
I will take 10 ones. I will give them to the dealer and I'll be like, play with me.
Mhm.
And I put my money where she puts her money because I'm assuming she can hit those.
Yeah.
There was a table that I was.
Is anyone paying attention?
No, I hope so. But there was a table that I had and but this guy was giving me like 5 or 10 ones or something. And he was like, "Here, bet them." So I was like placing them. And this was before we changed our betting rules, but I was like placing them and I was the only one winning.
Mhm.
And the floor came over to me and was like, "Did you just win again?" And I was like, "You got to be good at your job." And like it was like 4 or 5 spins in a row and I was the only one winning. And then he did it a third time. He's like, "Come on, we got to get one together." And I was like, "Why don't you put your money where my money is?"
Yeah. How about we play together?
And like, you see how only 2 numbers have hit in the 5 spins. But that's what I go do when I go play roulette. I'll take like 10 ones right off the bat. I'll be like, play with me.
Have you heard? I know this has been a topic lately. I don't know how long lately it has been, but a lot of like the younger generation don't believe in tipping. Have you seen that? It's been quite prominent across social medias and just media in general, how a lot of these younger generations, and I guess it just spread out across society in general, where they believe that your employer should pay a living wage and tipping culture should just not exist. Well, let me explain a little bit more.
Please, because my brain is raveling right now.
Where this comes from, at least from what I've seen, I'm not like an expert in this. It's just what I've seen. When you go get fast food, you go to a food truck, you go to Starbucks, and now all of these machines, before you finish checking out, it asks you if you want to tip. And I think people are just exhausted from it, that now it's turned into your employer should just pay you a living wage so we don't have to tip so that we can, give you a livable wage. And I kind of feel it sometimes when the younger people come into our casino, because last week I had very young kids. Like I almost checked their ID because I was like, there's no way you guys are 21.
I checked an ID the other week.
Oh, you did?
Because I was like, there's no way.
But at the end, they were winning. They were up a few $100s. And for people who bought in for like $40, $50, like that's a lot. And at the very end, he had $1 and he goes, "This is for you. Thank you so much. You're really great. This is for you." And I was just like, "Thank you." It was just like it was genuine. It was genuine. And then he told his friend, he's like, "Give her $1, give her $1." And his friend was like, "I'm gonna give her $2."
$2.
Yeah, and I was like, I did that in my head. I was just like, "Woo, $2." I've been dealing to you guys for an hour.
Um,
And we're not allowed to ask for tips. So right, and thank you for the $3 at the end of the night,
thank
right?
you.
Like it all
Everything
adds up.
adds. Yeah.
But I kind of just had that thought of, is this because they're part of that generation that doesn't believe that tipping should be customary? But it's
So,
complicated, right?
yes, I feel like this could spiral and we could talk
Yeah,
about this for
it's
the
a
next 3 hours.
complicated situation.
I'm gonna try an elevator version this. The places like McDonald's, Subway, coffee shops, Starbucks that are like, oh, like, do you want to add a tip to this? Here's how I feel about that. That I'm kind of like me about, is it nice for those kids to walk out with like
$20
10,
maybe?
$20 at
Yeah,
the end of the night? Absolutely. Because I've been that kid before at Jamba Juice
right.
where I was like,
Yeah,
we made $30 today. Like,
right.
in tips, like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, those jobs were meant for people entering the workforce.
Hmm.
They're meant for the 15, 16, 18-year old. They're not meant for like people. Do you know
With
what I'm saying?
skills, that's like entry level skills you're learning.
Right,
Right.
exactly. That's like first job. Like McDonald's says like we're proud to be America's best first job. That's like one of their slogans. Um so those I'm kind of like, yeah, you should be making minimum wage because technically you should be at home working for the summer or on the weekends, living with your parents, going to school. This is just like fun money for
Right.
you.
Entry,
This isn't,
your
but
first
that's how
job.
it should be, right? That's not how it is, but that's how it should be.
Right.
So those jobs, I'm kind of like, me, do I always hit the 25% button? Yes,
Every time.
I do every time.
Every time.
Sometimes do I hate myself for it? Because I'm like, wow, I'm spending a lot of extra money that I need
Hitting
than
that
I need to
little
be
button every
spending.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, But I also feel like if you're going somewhere where tipping is customary and you don't tip, you shouldn't be going.
See, that's where it gets complicated because food industry, it gets complicated. Food trucks, do you tip those people? But that's the whole point, is that they're making the food in a food truck, but they still ask for a tip. That's not the same of me
It's
going to
not
a sit down restaurant.
right because it's not like you're really getting service. Do
Right,
you know what I'm
where there's
saying?
bussers and servers and hostess, and it's like a whole
Yeah.
thing, like, right? Like, I feel different tipping at a sit down restaurant than tipping at a food truck.
Yes.
I feel different tipping at a coffee shop versus, something else, because that's equivalent to that.
Right.
But I think because it's like, I think people are just exhausted from seeing that little screen every time they
Mhm.
go get food or something, that it always asks you for a tip, that it starts to bleed into other
Other things in life, yeah.
industries.
And everyone's talking about raise the minimum wage, raise the minimum wage, and I'm like, please don't.
Yeah, no.
No, I'm like, do not. And what? I had a really good friend. She used to work at our casino. She's like doing better things with her life now. We don't really talk anymore, but she was like, I absolutely want to get paid $16 an hour for minimum wage. And I was like, no, you don't.
Everything else goes up.
But she was a few years younger than I am because she wasn't contemplating. Like, I'm like, do you see how much the last 3 years Vegas has changed in price?
Yeah,
You
it's
think if we're getting paid $16 an hour, like just basic math it, backtrack it. You go to the grocery store. They're now paying the people who stock the shelves $16 an hour. So they're coming more out of pocket. So what's going to happen? All the prices are going to raise because they now have to come more out of pocket.
wild.
Labor is the most expensive part of a business. Something you learn in business school, hospitality school, go UNLV. Labor is the most expensive part of a business, is what employers pay the most for. They don't want to pay $16 an hour because then they have to charge things. And I was trying to explain that to her, and she was like, but if you're making $16 an hour, and I was like, well, now I'm not going to explain it to
Now
you
you're just
because,
talking to a wall.
yeah, because I'm
Yeah.
like, you don't understand like the chain of events that's going to happen. Like,
Right.
our minimum wage just got bumped up again. And I'm like, eh,
Yeah. Because
because I don't want to pay $6 a gallon in gas. I like my cute, like, $3.75.
Yes, me too.
I don't want to pay $6 a gallon in gas. I don't want to pay $10 for eggs.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
outrageous.
Oh my God, yeah. The
Like,
groceries is what gets me the most. I mean, I went from spending $100 a week to now $260 a week
yeah.
within 3 years.
No, 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Since COVID. Since COVID, the price in Las Vegas has skyrocketed.
it's insane.
Because I moved here 8 years ago from Missouri. And when I first moved here, everybody was like, oh, it's going to be so expensive. And I was like, not really.
Mm-mm.
Gas was a little bit more expensive, but not a lot. Everything else, pretty much like living in Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And then boom, COVID, we reopened, everything
changed. Everything changed so much.
Skyrocketed.
When we moved here, we had a whole house for $1,000 a month in rent. A house, guys, a 4.2.5, $1,000. That property is now like $2,600 a month.
Yeah.
And it's not a nice
Crazy.
house.
Yeah, I was like, in like 3 years. This is not like a 20-year, 15-year, 10-year.
No.
3
This
years.
is like a very small window. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, back to tipping.
But so, okay, also with that. So recently I've seen 2 reels just scrolling through social media about the generations and how they view money.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what is it? Like the boomers, there's us, which are millennials, and then Gen Xers, right? That's the level beneath us. And then there's a new level coming.
It's Gen Z. Gen Z, then Gen X, and then Alpha, I think. I could be completely
I think Gen
wrong.
Z is like something different, like the next one underneath Gen
X?
Wait, what's right underneath us? Gen X?
Is it X or Z under us? Hold, please.
Anyway, I'm going to keep talking.
Go ahead.
You Google it. One of the reels I saw was this lady saying, would you rather have $2 million right now, $4,000 a week for the rest of your life, or an 850 credit score?
Yeah.
And she broke down that the boomers said they'd rather have an 850 credit score. Fuck the money, fuck the cash. They'd rather have an 850 credit score because that's how they grew up. It's like your credit score brings you this. Doesn't matter how much income you make, like your credit score is what gets you stuff. The millennials, which is us, said they wanted $4,000 a week for the rest of their life. And it's funny because that's the one I chose. I was like, I'd rather have $4,000. What would you have chosen?
I probably would have went the $4,000 a week.
I was like, I would rather have $4,000 a week for the rest of my life.
Credit score, I was like, who cares?
Yeah, because I'm like, bro, that's a lot of money. 2, you're set for the rest of your life. So me in my head, I'm like, no matter what happens in the world, what happens to you, anything. And then when she was explaining it, she was like, millennials have no trust. We don't trust. So they're going the safe way because they're like, we've seen what our parents went through with the recession. Yes. Our grandparents with the Great Depression, probably. So that's what she was saying, that like millennials just don't trust anything because our parents or grandparents grew up with a scarcity mindset, like save everything, save everything, save it. Don't invest, just save it.
I'm thinking about it and I'm like, no, that is 100% true.
And then the recession where we were old enough to kind of remember, and now we went through COVID where the world was shut down and it was hard to get benefit. Anything was hard to get. Like it took me 5 weeks to get my unemployment. So they're like 4,000 a week for the rest of my life. Why would I do that? What's underneath us? Gen Z?
We have
Gen X.
Gen Z.
Gen Z. Really? Gen Z's right underneath us?
Gen X is before us. It's baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and then Gen Alpha.
Okay, so Gen Z, the people underneath us, the youngins, were like, we want the 2 million. Because they were just like, the world could end tomorrow. That's what we were just going to have fun right now.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I think that's wild that they're just like, yeah, no, your employer should just pay you what you're worth. We should get rid of tipping because they're still too young to really be on their own, right? People are still helping them. Yeah. They're probably still in school, still in college, whatever. They still have that structured life. And they haven't like really been in an industry yet where they're making money off of tips.
They haven't had to risk. They've seen the risk other people
They've
like
heard, but now it's too far. I feel like it's 2 generations away. Yeah. Like ours was 1, So now it's like a little bit different. But I find that really interesting that you say that because I'm trying to think like the young people I've had that have been good tippers are people that clearly have money.
They have, I had one kid, couldn't be older than 25. No way. Bought in for 10,000, just threw 10,000 on the table. I counted it out and we made a few $100s off of him. But yeah, I was like, oh, you got money. Yeah. So thank God you're tipping, right?
Right. Like, no, for real.
At least you have money and you're tipping. But
because I remember when I first started dealing, there were these like 3 kids that would come in. And when I say kids, they're probably like 25, 26, 27. They'd come in, but they were like Gucci'd out, throw like 8-9 grand on the table, which is a lot of money to
Mm-hmm.
go gamble for a 25 to 27-year-old.
Yes, that's a lot.
I'm about to be 27. I would never go to a casino and throw 5 grand down. You know how much I could do with 5 grand?
Yeah,
What?
absolutely
Like,
not.
and they'd play like $500 hands from 25 to $500 hands. Like, but they were good tippers.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like the young people I've had, I'm trying to think, like my best tippers probably were boomers. How old is a boomer?
Let you know. Boomers were born from 46 to 64.
Okay, so that's a little bit older than I was thinking.
Gen X is 65 to 80.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking Gen Xers then.
Gen X, yeah, that seems
Because I'm
more
like,
of
I feel like the best tippers I've had have been in their like late 30s to 50 range. I wouldn't even put them at 50, but
I
that's
would
the range I would
agree.
give them.
I would say my best tippers are probably on the older range, like 45 to 50 have been my best tippers.
Yeah. I think after that, like if you're like, yeah, anything over 50.
You start to go back to my dad's generation. It's like, here's a dollar.
Like they'll tip you, but it's not outrageous.
Right.
Like they don't leave you high and dry.
Exactly. They're doing it for the courtesy. They know they have to tip, and here's a little something for you. Just, to be
right.
polite.
So
courteous.
one of our dealers on Texas Hold'em, the guy hit the progressive for the 10%. I think it's like a straight flush. The 10% was 27,000. He opted to get the tax taken out before. So I think he got paid like 23,000. Didn't tip anything. Then his wife came up through our dealer, $100 chip. She racked it, and then he had the audacity to say, "Let's do it again."
Do what again?
Play? Hit another big progressive.
At that point, if I'm the dealer and your wife had to come give me money, I'm like, I'm taking every penny from
Absolutely.
you.
At that point, girls get so pissed, and I'm like, take all their money.
Take it all. I mean,
I'm sure he lost it over the next couple of days because he was here, from what I heard. I wasn't there the day. Well, I was there the day that happened, but I didn't know who the guy was.
it's the same thing when people put that 250 on top of their bet, and I'm just like, bad luck.
Yeah,
bad luck.
Like, and she's like, he didn't even tip me. His wife ended up taking like $100 chip out of her purse that he had been like stockpiling in her bag, and like gave it to the dealer.
That's sad.
And I was just like, at that point, obviously she was livid, right? Because she was like, what the hell? You've been like rude and mad the whole time. You hit this money free. It's free. See, this is my thing is I'm like, now at this point, you're getting free money because the money you put in, you should be okay with losing.
Exactly, yeah.
So if you're losing $24 million in a weekend,
then you should be okay with
losing $24 million. So if I get you back up to 12 million and you're like, I'm still down 12 million.
But
I got you back up to 12 million.
Yeah. Because
you should be tipping me.
That's the frustrating thing is that players will blame us for giving them bad cards or not hitting their numbers. But then I want that same energy when I am paying you out. Like if you want to be mad at me for not giving you hands, well then now I'm giving you hands and you're making all this money. Well then now what?
Right. I'm like, see, but you're okay with losing that. So she's like, here he is. He bought in for like $300, $23,000 payout. He won't even tip me. His wife, like 10 minutes later, ended up throwing her $100. And I told her, I was like, honestly, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain, right?
Yeah.
It's better than nothing because it is. But at that point, it's almost rude.
Yeah. Right? And to me, it's because a party pit dealer or not, this is where tipping to me, where I'm like, it's customary, but at the same time, like, we're not expecting anything, but we are because as dealers, we are face to face with you for an hour. We are pumping out cards, or we are mucking chips. We are
We're at work and we're here to make money.
Working.
Nobody goes to work for fun and doesn't care about the money.
But then as dealers, we're talking to you. Now, as party pit dealers, we're laughing with you. We're talking to you. We're asking where you're from. How long are you here? We're giving
dancing in front of you.
Right. We're dancing and stuff. And it's just like, like, let's balance it out a little bit. Show me you appreciate it. The way you show me you appreciate my customer service and my job is by tipping.
Yeah.
So
And then the
That's
fact that clearly you were like, let's do it again. And she was like, do what again?
yeah.
Do what? Oh, you want more love? I didn't get any love. What?
Yeah. I know I mean it's such a
It's tough.
complicated
It's tough, right? Because
topic.
I'm also
Yeah.
like, it was the end of the night. I Yeah. I mean, it was the end of the night. I know she was sick and not feeling it. We were about to get done.
Oh.
Like, I
Oh
mean,
my.
end of the night. And it was her last table and she was going to sign and she decided not to.
And then to have that happen.
And then that happened and she was like, "Ah, fuck tonight."
Yeah.
Like, she was so mad. And I get it. I've been there before. Like, I understand.
I think every dealer's been there before where you're
Yeah,
just like
I understand.
you're giving all this money away and giving it away and giving it away and then you're like waiting and then
You're
your
like,
down finishes and you get tapped out and you do the all right everyone it was great good luck you're doing really well so
and you give it like an extra.
a little beat so Tori's gonna go ahead and take care of you guys now have a good night and then you walk away and there's nothing
Nothing.
that's when I had the
Yeah.
same thing where I'm like
You're like,
fuck this
God
place
dang. Yeah. And I mean, because ultimately, yes, we're there to make money. Yes, absolutely. Are some girls making more money than other girls? Yes. Are some girls better at that? Yes. Do some girls give better? I'm not even gonna say girls. Let's just say dealers, because this is everywhere. Are some dealers better at customer service and make your experience more fun? Absolutely. Are other dealers better than other dealers? Yes. And I get it. I get it. I do. But again, like I've had terrible service at places where I've had like servers that are rude and mean and don't care and they don't come in and check in and I still give them
I still
20%.
same.
I
I'll
do.
bitch the
How do
whole
you
time and say
not?
I'm not tipping them. They don't deserve their tip, and at the end I'm like 20% because I just
Yeah.
understand that's the line of work. That's what they're working for.
Right.
Maybe they're just having a bad night.
Maybe they've had
Whatever.
shit person after shit person after shit person. And I think that's kind of probably what happened to her because she gets a lot of shitty people. She just does. I don't know what her problem is. She just attracts it. But like, and I think she just was, but she's not rude. She's not ever rude, is the thing. So I'm like,
She's not.
even if she
Yeah.
was just being quiet and not being over the top with you, I know she wasn't being rude.
Yeah.
So that was brutal. Like that was brutal to hear about because I've heard like it spreads down the pit. The girl's like, oh, I did the progressive.
Oh yeah.
The dancer hears it, then the dancer tells the next dancer, like, then all of a sudden it's all the way in roulette, and roulette's like, oh, someone hit the progressive, and I'm like, dope.
Word travels like that.
Dope. Like we should get a couple thousand. Like I know it's the 10% because I think the total was like 247,000. So I was like, he got the whole progressive because then I'm thinking we're gonna get 40K, right? And they're like, no, it's the 10%, and I'm like, okay, 20K.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Something.
Yeah, something, right? Like,
And then to find out,
yeah.
it's just one little black
And she
shit.
was like, I would have rather not even gotten anything, especially since the wife felt bad 10 minutes later and then threw her a chip.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I think if you're listening to this and you are on the side of you don't believe in tipping because you believe employers should pay a living wage, that's fine. Not in a casino. Not in
No.
a casino. But if you are coming to Vegas and you're coming to a casino, get that out of your head. Just let it fly away because this is a tipping industry. We all survive off of tips. The dealers, the cocktail waitresses,
Some of the pit
servers,
bosses.
some of the like that is what that's the industry here.
The
So
valet
please,
guys.
yeah, the valet
The
guys, yeah.
bellmen. Like we don't get paid a lot. We
Mm-mm.
literally get minimum wage.
You walk into
And in
these
Vegas now, 3 years later after COVID,
yeah.
can't live off of that.
No, and you're walking into these buildings and they're gorgeous and they're beautiful and we do not get paid how much it costs to put that gorgeous building up.
Absolutely not.
And it's not to feel bad for us. It's just saying like that's just the industry here. So I just wish more people would leave that mentality of I don't believe in tipping at the door, at the plane door when you get off, when you get to our airport.
Yeah, it's
leave it there. And when you're here, just do your best. If you want to be the hero, if you want word to spread about you, you're the guy
and all the
you're
good
the person,
juju.
not the guy, but you're the person that's throwing us, that or at least playing like, who's the hero? It wouldn't be a $5 play. At least a $25 a hand person would be my hero.
$25 a hand, yes. We used to have this great guy. He hasn't come in a long time, but he used to be me and my best friend's regular. He started playing with me first, And then I sent him to my best friend when I had to go on break.
Mhm.
And then he played with her a lot. And then I got moved to roulette, and he doesn't play roulette. So then he played with her and played with another dealer. He used to play. He was so nice. He was amazing. He used to play his hand and then bet his hand for us.
Okay, yeah, I know a lot of. I've heard of a
So
lot of
whatever,
players
like,
doing
and then
that,
at the
yeah.
end when he was losing, he would just be like, "Oh, fuck it," because again, he knows what he's losing and he's okay with losing it. So he was like, "I might as well lose it to you." So he would play like a $300 hand and put $100 out for us, or he'd like stack up all his green chips, throw it out, and then stack up all his red chips and play that for us. Like, and he just was great. He was amazing.
I just feel like that
But yeah,
has been
$25.
lost. That has
Yes.
been lost a lot because
Yeah.
now when I get shocked when I have players who aren't big players, who are just your average player, come and they put 25 in front for me. And I'm like, that's for me. I have to double check because I'm like, when you put it in the front, it's for me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that type of tipping, I feel like, has been
Mhm.
slowly fizzling away. And it makes me sad.
Yeah.
And I know for sure it fizzled away because I've worked at other properties, and those properties I've gone back to work, and the money is not the same. And that's how I know like something has changed.
different.
Yeah.
Election years are historically bad for Vegas as well,
Yeah. It is.
as far as tipping goes. And that's what we're going into next year.
Ooh, quick story. 2 quick stories about 2 celebrities. Oh, our battery's
I was going to
exhausted.
say the battery.
Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. Have you heard of them when they come and play?
No. I didn't know they came to
I
Vegas.
think it was Ben. It could have been A-Rod. I forgot which husband. Jennifer Lopez, I know some stories. I know some personal stories about her from a personal friend that has been around her. She's not very nice. And this is how, and you're going to change your mind about J-Lo right now. Let's say it was Ben playing, and he's playing, and Ben, or whichever husband it was, could have been A-Rod, is very, he likes to tip. J-Lo put her hand in and pulled the tip back and said, "What are you doing?" or something along the lines. Industry people who are listening to the story, who've heard the story, know exactly what I'm talking about because this is a story that I've heard many times.
I don't know what I would have done.
She's not a tipper. She does not take care of her people. And I know this from a completely different industry where this person, this friend, has dealt with her. She's not a nice person. She is. So if you ever see JLo and you think, "Oh, she's rich. She's going to play on my table. She's going to take care of us." She
No eye
ain't. She's not
contact.
giving you anything.
See, and I understand people are like, "Well, I've worked hard for this money. Then you shouldn't be gambling."
Yeah, then don't gamble because this is gambling.
I'm like, because you're probably going to lose it. And now that I'm not being tipped and you're being an asshole, like that.
Yeah. Now the energy is
Now
shifted.
that you've been an asshole.
Yeah.
And you're taking away my ability for somebody else to give me money. Because I've had players like that before that are like, "Oh, no, you don't tip the dealer." And I've like looked at them and been like, "You absolutely tip the dealer.
Yeah.
That's very customary."
Mhm.
And then the person will like, not them, but the person will throw me like something.
There's another story.
Now the money's
The
now the
other-
energy shift, and I'm like,
Oh, yeah. 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 I bet you the deal on that table was like, ugh,
yeah.
Jennifer Lopez.
I would have been like, "You're not
Jenny
even
from
cute.
the block.
I jammed to you in elementary school."
So the other story,
I love hustlers.
I think, right? Like I heard these 2 stories about JLo and I was like, damn.
Ruins everything, right?
Yeah. So this other one, I think it was Michael Jordan. It could be Michael. I'm pretty sure Michael
Basketball
Jordan.
player or
Yes.
Michael B. Jordan?
No, Michael Jordan, the basketball player, 23, Air Jordan. He is infamous for being at a table and not tipping dealers or cocktail waitresses. And same thing is, this is a story. Somebody was like, "Oh, Michael Jordan, you're his friend." The cocktail waitress came by. He doesn't tip, and the friend was like, "This is Vegas. This is how you tip," and like grabbed black chip or whatever from Jordan's stack and gave it to the cocktail waitress, and that's how she got tipped. But it's like notorious that he also is somebody who doesn't tip. But I guess I have 3 stories. Somebody who does take care of their dealers, who is very well known for taking care of dealers, who dropped $1 million for the dealers, Bruno Mars.
I was gonna say, is that at MGM?
I think it was,
It
yeah.
was at MGM because his residency is at Park MGM.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard a story from MGM Grand that a player gave the dealers $1 million.
That was another one, I think. That guy.
I'm gonna work at MGM Grand.
That guy.
Can you guys open a party pit?
I know, right? We would all fly
Please.
there. We would like. Um. That guy had to. It was a tax thing. So it was like a tax thing, and he had to like do something with at least $1 million, and he like reluctantly said, "Fuck it," and just tipped the dealers $1 million.
But what a better way to lose it. You know what
Right?
I'm saying? Like, you might as well help. No, for real. Like, and that's so corny, but like, that's how I feel. I'm like, you might as well help the people who are working hard for it. And I'm not saying that you didn't work hard for your money, J-Lo. I understand, but you've made it.
Right. You're
You've
there.
made it. About Kanye. That Kanye wasn't a diva. That he knew, he knows like everybody's name. He knows his like maids' names, the paparazzi's names. He knows the driver's name. He just knows everyone, and he's just real nice to everybody.
It's like one of those things where they get out of touch because it's like you're there. Well, A-Rod's there because of his skill, right? He's a baseball player. But J-Lo, you're made because of your fans. Like if we don't like you, you
Right.
don't exist.
You don't make money. That's a good point.
So it's like
That's a really good point.
now you're just out of touch. But
she had a residency in Las Vegas for a long time too.
she did. I'm glad I didn't see it.
Fuck that. I don't want to support you taking tips away.
All right, let's move on. We're done talking about tips.
Okay.
I want to talk about how I am sick and tired of these married men giving me their phone numbers. I'm sick and tired of you guys. Listen.
Now.
I will play along with you at the table. I will, do a little flirty back and forth, laugh at your jokes, have a little conversation. And I know you're married. I see the ring. You know I'm married. You see my
the ring. Let's not pretend.
Now, and when they start going, so when are you going to get off the table? I'm like, oh, probably like 10 more minutes. I'll get tapped out. You have to go, on break. And they're like, oh, so I'm staying here tonight. And I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me.
Rolls eyes so hard.
Yeah.
Really? How are the rooms?
Yeah, right? Like, have you stayed here before?
Do you hear the music from your room?
Yeah. It really got on my nerves one night. Like, I came home. I was so mad that I came home and I got on the phone with my husband. I was like, if I find out you gave somebody your number, because I was just so mad. This guy, married 7 years, has 3 kids, just had twins with his wife. He's here on a guy's trip for the weekend, gives me his number, then gives me his room number. And I was just so annoyed because you just told me your whole life story and about your wife and about your kids. And then you're telling me you love me and you want to be with me and you want me to call you and not. And I was just like.
He probably did that to every single dealer he had.
Well, I don't think so because he followed me for 2 days. I told him one night, I thought it was just a jokey, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, well, are you going to be here tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, I said 7. I came in at 8 and he was looking for me. And then I said, oh no, this has gone beyond the flirty, nice table.
Oh, no.
And I think that's what made me even more mad. Is just like, this guy really came back. And I was just like, I was just very upset that night because I know about his wife.
Yeah.
I
know about your kids.
And then I had this other guy another night ask me, how long have you been married? And I told him, and then I asked him, how long have you been married? And whatever. And some other guy comes to the table and asked me how long I've been married, and he answered for me. Right? It's funny. Oh, he knows how long I've been married. And then he said how long, right? A bunch of married people at the table. This guy proceeds to tell me, ask me what time I'm off, where he's staying, and all this stuff. And I was just like, bro, you know how long I've been married.
Sit down. Well, that's why the one girl, she's like, happily married. When people are like, oh, are you married? She's like, happily.
Yeah. Just off the jump.
Yeah, because men don't care. Here's what I've realized. So when I first started working at as a dealer, I wasn't married, but I was like dating my husband. So obviously I didn't have a ring. Now when I got engaged and it was a busy night, and if for whatever reason, thank by God, I'd be on blackjack, I would take my ring off. Mm-hmm. For the money, okay? Yeah. Someone asked, somebody would be like, all right, and you have a boyfriend? I'd be like, yeah, I'm married.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, there's no ring. And I'd be like, yeah, it hurts the money. Like, I'll tell you straight up.
Honestly, I think wearing a ring probably makes you more
I don't feel that way.
money.
Because here's the thing. And I was talking to one of the floors about it. Not for me anyway. I was talking to one of the floors about it. And he was like, oh, you still don't make money with like the ring on? And I'm like, I do, but it's vastly different. He's like, I see men hit on you all the time. And I'm like, they have no shame. They'll still hit on me. I've had a guy tell me to take my ring off. He's like, just take it off. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, just take it off. And I was like, no, sir. Like, I've had dudes tell me they can top my ring. And I have I have 2 stones on my ring.
Yeah.
You can't top this shit. Like, I've had men tell me that. Like, I've had guys be like, oh, well, when in Vegas. And I'm like, no, not for me. For you, sure. There's a hooker at the bar over there. You can pay her. Probably pay her $1,000 if you really trying to get freaky. Like, but here's what I've noticed, and this is what I was telling the floor, because he was like, I see men flirt with you all the time. I was like, they have no shame. They'll still flirt. They'll still shoot their shot. But the tipping is different. Once the ring is on and they see that they don't really have a chance, the money stops flowing. When the ring is off and they don't ask, and I'm just like, whatever, like fun, flirt. Like some guy sits down and I'm like, hey, watch out, he bites. And he's like, oh, maybe I do. And I'm like, yeah, I can tell. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. They'll tip. For me, once the ring is on, now I never take my ring off. But like once the ring is on, it's a different story. Then it's me doing a lot of work for not a lot of
yeah.
pay, Yeah. But that's just me personally. I did have a guy one time stop me and like chat me up for like a good minute or two after I was trying to go on break. And I was like, okay, well, have a good night. And he was like, well, hey, man, can I like, am I allowed to ask for your phone number? And I was like, oh, I'm married. And he was like, you don't have a ring on. And I was like, yeah, it hurts the money. I don't wear a ring at work. It hurts the money. And he was like, oh no, if I had like a dope ass, beautiful dealer and she had a ring on, I'd give her more money. And I looked at him and I was like, no, you wouldn't.
For me,
And
I
I
feel
walked
like it
away.
happens that way.
No, it's not how it goes for me.
Oh,
Now I always have my ring on. I don't care.
Should test this out. Let's run an experiment.
No, you should.
That's
don't wear a ring
so
for like
funny.
a week and see.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna not wear it.
Yeah, and see how it goes.
I'll wear it on the other hand.
Tell your husband.
Yeah. My husband knows full well what I do. He 100% supports it. I tell him all the stories. I bring him the numbers. Okay, guys? I will come home and I'll go, look. Here's another one to add to the collection.
That's really funny.
So, if anybody ever sees me out there, if any of the floors ever listen to this and wonder if my husband knows, he knows. Yeah. I tell him all the stories. I show him the numbers. I tell him everything that happens. And he finds it hilarious because guess what? I come home to him every night.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Because these guys out there that are married and give me their number and think I'm going to go home with them, I feel bad for their wives. So, wives?
I do too.
The wives out there?
No, if your man's coming to Vegas on a boys' trip,
I don't even know what to tell you. They're safe with me because I ain't doing anything.
They're safe with fucking Krystal. So send them to our casino to gamble. Tell them to
go
stay.
See Krystal.
Yeah, and tell them to go see Tori and Krystal because your man's safe with us. No, I've definitely had men where I'm like, you're a piece of shit. Like you're an actual piece of shit. Like you're not just like flirty, whatever. I'm in Vegas. When in Vegas, this. Like no, I'm like you're an actual piece of shit. And I see you're married, and I feel bad for you.
That's how I felt that night, and
I've had men say some like really outlandish stuff to me, and I just like look at it because I'm like, God damn, like, but I don't ever take anything personal either. Like I'm fairly tough. I don't get upset that easily.
And they don't know you, right?
They don't know you. If I don't want to see you tonight ever again, I don't have to see you tonight ever again. If you come back to my casino tomorrow, and you're doing the same bullshit, I'm gonna have you 86th. Like, this is why you're friends with your security guards and you bring them donuts. Like, it's just, it is what it is, you know? And, but I have definitely had interactions with men like that. I'm like, oh, but you're married. Have you ever had a guy be like, you shouldn't have to do this job?
All the time. And
how do you feel about your outfit?
Yeah. I think I said
if you were my girl, I would not have you work. And I'm like, oh, so you'd have me locked up. So I'm confused. You have me locked up somewhere? Is this not 21st century? Everybody fucking works. What?
Yeah.
How
Like,
much money you make, bro?
I think I said it at another episode where I was like, one guy came up to the table and says, "You got to wear this?" And it's just like,
Were you like,
I'm wearing it.
did you look to the girl next to you and the girl on this side and say, no, I don't have to. I don't have to wear this.
I just like how he motioned over the chest because it's just like,
You gotta wear this.
I know where you're looking.
Here's what I say to guys now, because we have these like little chokers. I think they're cute. I was excited to get mine.
I didn't like it at first, and then it grew on me.
I didn't even think about this until like 6 months down the line of working there. Some guy was like, how do you feel about wearing your name on your collar? He called it. We have these like little chokers and our names are embroidered on them. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think of it that way because I thought they were cute and I was excited to get them. Now, I was a dancer growing up, right? So I've done the little outfits. I've done the dance competitions, like, and I thought it was cute because I was like, oh my gosh, like I have like an accessory with my name on it. I thought it was cute. It wasn't until months down the line that some guy said it that way. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, yo, some guy just called this a collar and said it reminded him of a dog collar and thought that it was degrading.
Yes.
And then a few girls were like, it is. And I was like, thinking about it, and I was like, I'd rather have this than have a name tag right here where my bra is, and then you're staring at my boobs.
Because then they go, "What's your name?" and they go like that,
and I'm like, "Oh, it's Tori."
Yeah, it's up here.
Yeah,
but I mean, that was at the other property that was next door that I worked at. Our name tags go right here. Our shirts are kind of low, and it is very much like, "What's your name?" And it's just like, come on.
Yeah, no,
come
exactly.
on.
and now that's what I say to guys when guys are like, how do you feel about your dog collar? And I'm like, oh, would you rather me wear a name tag so you stare at my tits? And then they shut up. And they're like, oh, well, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I think it's cute. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it when I leave the casino.
Usually I go, oh, this choker, this necklace.
Because that's how I thought of it. I was like, oh, it's a necklace. It's like it's got my name on it. It's embroidered. What? Like, that's cute.
Nope, these guys think differently.
Yeah. The other day I had a guy, and he would not leave me alone for like a good 2-3 hours. He's just like, if you were my girl, you wouldn't have to work. And why are you here? Did you even go to school? And I was like, yeah. And like, we were just chatting. And I was like, so why wouldn't you have me work?
Yeah.
And I was like asking him these questions, right? I don't know if I was just heated that day or what, because normally I'm not like that. And he was like, well, this is like a lot. And I'm like, well, I'm not stripping. You don't get to touch me. And I think we're fairly covered. Personally, we're fairly covered. We could wear a lot less.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you don't get to touch me when I'm stripping. You can't, I'm not going to give you a dance. He's like, yeah, but this outfit, this job, I don't know. He's like, how do you feel about dancing on the box? I was like, well, I grew up a dancer. I love dancing on the box. It's the only time I get to dance. Now as an adult, like it's the only time I get to dance. I love it. And he was like, well, did you even go to school? Like, what'd you do? And so I was telling him I went to business school. I got my degree in hospitality management, which is like business management with the emphasis on hotels and casinos, from the second best school in the world for that. Like, so I got my degree in, and he was like, well, why aren't you doing that? And I was like, because I would make a third of what I'm making now, and I'd have to move up the ladder for 10 years before I even touch what I'm making right now.
100%.
I was like, but I have friends that are doing that, and that's fine for them, but that's not what I want. I was like, I'm very money motivated.
Yeah, I mean, same.
So I was like, what would you go to school for? He's like, well, I didn't finish school. And I'm like, okay, so what do you do? He's some type of like welder. And I was like, oh, funny, because I was always like really crafty, and I used to sew, and I was good with my hands, and my dad wanted me to be a welder because we didn't have a boy in our family. It was just me and my sister. So I did all like the boy stuff with my dad. So he's like, you should be a welder. And my mom was like, no, it's dangerous. Like, kind of thing. Ended up moving to Vegas, and now I'm a dealer. And I was like telling him that, and he was like, yeah, well, like some of the guys I went to school with, they're making this much money, but I did 2 years of that, and then I like kind of dropped out because I had a kid, and like I had to make money. So now I'm doing this, and I make really good money. And I was like, well, why don't you want to do that? He was like, because I'm making good money. And I was like, oh, same. And he like looked at me like, and I was like, same.
Yeah.
I was like, you could have finished school. You didn't. You could have finished school. to do this, and now you're looking at your friends who are doing what you should have been doing, right? Because you're telling me I should have been doing that, or I shouldn't be working. Because I was like, well, would you not have me work at all? And he was like, well, no, I mean, if you wanted to work a couple days a week, you could. And I was like, as what?
Yeah, what do you want me to do now?
And
You
and I
work
was like,
minimum
you
wage
want me to
at
go be like
Marshalls?
a banker,
Yeah, like
or
what do
like
you
a
want me to do?
cashier or a substitute teacher? He's like, yeah, why not? And I was like, get out of my face, bro.
Yeah, get out of here.
I
I
couldn't
have a
stand
degree
it.
too, and guess what I did? I went back to dealing because, yeah,
I
we've
couldn't
said it time and
stand
time
it.
again.
But it was funny because that was the first time I like entertained. I didn't even really, I don't want to say entertain, but that was the first time I engaged in a conversation like that, just to see like where it was going, what his mindset was, what he was
Yeah.
thinking. And it was interesting for me to like see that and ask those questions, because I'm like, oh, you're just like one of those like macho men who wants their women at
At
home.
home,
Like you're
yeah.
not really like,
What's the saying? Barefoot and pregnant, right? Like that's the saying, isn't it?
I've never heard that, but no, I mean, that's what it was.
Yeah,
Like,
that's like an old saying
oh my
of,
God, that's so barbaric.
yeah, like the misogynistic, like those type of men just want their women home barefoot and pregnant. I've heard that before. Yeah, it's gross. I don't like it. I'm very
Oof.
against misogyny.
Yikes. But that makes sense. But yeah, but I've had like a couple men like that are like, if you were my wife, you would never have to work. And I'm like, yeah, cool. But I'm just not that human being either, to be honest.
What?
Like I can't just stay home.
No, I need to do
But
something.
that's just me.
I
Like
gotta do something.
I have friends that have kids that are stay-at-home moms.
Yeah.
But like it's just not me personally. Like I'm too antsy. I need to get out of the house. I'm too extroverted for that.
Yeah. I
Like I
need
can't just stay. Like I would be
interactions.
like the sports mom that brings the
Oh
snacks and is
yeah.
there early, stays late, takes your kid home. I would do the carpool. Like I would have to do, like I would be very involved,
If you were a stay-at-home
if
mom, or
if
at
I
least
was
if
a
you
stay-at-home
were.
mom. But even if I didn't work, I would have to be like having a job somewhere doing something. Like I'm just not that person, and I'm not bashing on people who are women that want to be stay-at-home moms or
No, to each
people
their
who don't
own.
want to work. Absolutely, like go do your thing. But that's just not me personally. But it was interesting for me to talk to that guy and actually ask him questions and figure out where his brain was at about it.
I mean, yeah, it's just funny because we get phone numbers, we get room numbers, we get asked what time we're off, and then we get told like, I have the penthouse over here, or I have the penthouse over there, and I can this, that, and the other. Oh,
Or
this
I'm
is
going to the club tonight, tomorrow night. You want to go? No, I'm not
yeah.
working. I'm
No.
working.
Yeah. I'll be here.
Yeah. They'll be like, well, how much do you make a night? And I'll tell them. They'll be like, well, I can give that to you. I'm like, well, you want to double it? Because I'm also taking a point.
Right. Yeah.
Because if
And
I'm calling out, I'm taking a point, and it's got to be worth it.
that's another thing I hate is when guys or anybody says, "Oh, you have to share this." Oh, then I don't want to really like I don't want to. I'd rather just give it to you. What time are you off? And it's just like, "No, that's not how it works. I'm not going to
No,
meet
can't
you
do that.
after work to get money from you."
I did have a guy one time do that, and he was stacking up his chips on the side, and he was like, "No, this for you. I just don't want to give it to all the other girls. Like, I really like you. This for you. This for you. This for you." And he asked me. This is when I first started dealing. He was like, well, what time are you off? And I was like, well, I signed, so I don't know what time I'm going to be off. He's like, oh, well, if you want, we can like meet somewhere. And it was like $800. Like it was kind of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
You think
I was
about it.
questioning it.
Yeah,
Like I was
you
like,
definitely think about it.
I almost sent my husband, because I texted my husband and I was like, hey,
Yeah.
it's like, you want to meet this guy and try and get this money? Like, and then I ended up talking to another dealer about it, and he was like, he's in here all the time. Don't fucking do it. He
Yeah.
was like, because if he really wanted to give you that money, then give it to me.
Give it to you. Exactly.
She's like, it's not worth your job. And I was
Right.
like, good point. And then I was like, never mind, Hubs. Like,
Of course, somebody
but yeah,
says they're going to give me $1,000 outside of work. I think about it, but I'm like, I'm not risking my safety. I'm not risking my job. I don't know
right,
who you are. I'm not
right,
meeting you by myself. That's sketch as hell.
yeah,
But of course, you think about it. If
right.
somebody's like, I'll just give you this $1,000.
I've definitely had a few guys follow me to my car. And I remember one was a security guard. And I was like, because I was going up the way I go up to get to my car. And he was like following me. And like I said before in another episode, like I'm really good about being on my phone and being aware.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm walking in my car, I'm never on my phone. And I'm like, okay, but he's a security guard, like whatever. So I'm like, turn around, I like look at him, and he sees me look at him, and then he's like, "Oh, you're not supposed to be over here." And I was like, "I'm just going to my car. I work here. I'm an employee." He was like, "Oh, okay," and like turns around and walks away. And I was like, "But if I hadn't made eye contact with you
That's the first thing
to
they tell you to
like
do.
to like flip
Yeah.
your whatever is going on in your brain, would you have stopped me?
Mm-hmm.
Or would you have just kept following me?" Because even if he had good intentions, he's like, "Where's this girl going? Like, she's not supposed to be over here." Like,
Yeah.
and he was just following me to see because he's doing his job. That's weird.
That's weird.
You should have been like, "Hey,
Yeah.
hey, man," like,
Right.
"Hey,"
Right.
like, that's weird. I had some guy follow me from like Fremont Street all the way in through the casino upstairs. And at one point I like just turned around and I stopped walking. Because I was like, I don't know if he's following me. I don't know if it's coincidence, but I had a bad vibe. I just turned around and stopped walking. And I was like, let me just stare at him. So he knows I know what the fuck he looks
Yeah.
like. And he's not going to sneak up from behind me. And he was like, "Oh, like, hey, you're really pretty." And I was like, "Thanks."
Now your radar is definitely going
Yeah, and
off,
I was like,
right?
"Thanks." And he was like, but he said something like, "Do you have a man?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm married." He's like, "Oh, okay." And turned around and walked away.
Oh,
And
that's
I
so
was like,
creepy.
"Bro, if I hadn't stopped and turned around and stared at you,
Yeah.
would you have followed me all the way to my car?" Because my whole thing is being in a parking garage. Nobody's probably in there. Like,
Yeah.
there's cameras, but like, I'm not going to be in an enclosed space with you where I know if I scream, nobody's going to
No
hear
one's
me.
gonna hear you. Yeah.
And when I walk to my car, like I always walk in the middle of the lane because there's cars on both sides of my parking garage. So I always walk in the middle of the lane. And one time I was walking with a friend, she's like walking on the side. And I was like, "Come here." And she's
Yeah.
like, "Why are you walking in the middle?" I was like, "Because these are where I was like, you see where the cameras are? So the cameras can see, one. And two, if someone's hiding behind a car or in between a car, I want to have time to react. If you are walking right next to them, they go, "Pheep,"
Yeah, they just snatch you up.
and you don't have time to react.
And you're right. This is when your mom comes into play and
Right.
she's telling
But
you
my
these
mom
stories
but
to
my mom trains me with shit
yeah.
stuff like that.
Same.
Like she used to be like, "Well, when you're doing this, don't be on your phone. Like anytime you get in your car, lock the doors right away and just start driving." And then when we started driving, then like aux cords were popular. Like when I
Yeah.
started driving, like that's when aux cords kind of started getting popular. You didn't have like cassettes or CDs. So
My
she would
cords
be like,
stunk.
"You get in your car." These little WD-40. Like she'd be like, "You get in your car and you drive away."
Yeah.
She's like, "Don't sit in your car in a parking lot, plug your phone in, find stuff. You get in your car and you drive away." And it's funny because it drives my husband crazy now because even backing out of my own garage, I get in my car, start the car, and I immediately pull out
I'm the same way.
because it's
I'm
just
like, turn it
automatic.
on and go. Right? Like
Right. It's like an automatic
I just
thing.
throw my shit in the car
But
and I'm like going.
my husband like waits for the car to idle
Yeah.
because I guess it's better for the engine. Like because the engine will like rev, like when you see the like
When
little
you're a
thing.
female.
For me, it's on the left hand side of the car, and the thing's like beep, beep,
Yeah.
beep, beep, beep. Like when you hit the accelerant, it like
Yeah.
goes up. So when you turn it on, it'll like, and then it'll like slowly go back down. And you're supposed to wait for it to go back down. He said it's better for the car. But
When
I'm
you're a
like,
female, you don't go by those rules.
no, everything is safety.
Yeah. When you're a female walking alone and you're alone, you don't go by the rules. Who cares about the car?
Mm-hmm.
It's my safety. The car won't have anybody drive it if I'm dead.
Yes.
So
Okay, so can we like rant for a second? So we flew back to Missouri a few weeks ago, me and my husband, and they completely redid the airport, and the airport's like beautiful and amazing. We used to have this tiny rinky-dink airport. Now we have an international airport in Kansas City. Amazing. It's beautiful. So we get off the airplane, you know how you go to the bathroom? I feel like it's just a thing. So we go in the bathroom, and I walk into the bathroom, and a guy is walking the same way down the like stalls that I am, and we like both look at each other because we're like,
who's wrong here?
but it was like what are those called? Like a neutral bathroom?
Oh, a unisex bathroom.
Thank you, a unisex bathroom. So everyone goes in. Everything is a stall.
Oh.
There's no urinals. Everything's a stall.
Oh.
And I've actually been in a few of these types of bathrooms.
I don't think I've ever
in
been in
the
a bathroom
city.
like that.
So the city has a few of them. Las Vegas does. Kansas City now has one. So you go in. Everything's a stall. There's no urinals. So you just go into a stall. And then there's like the hand washing station is more like open and like there's like big entrances both sides.
Okay. I think now I've been in at least one. You
Something like
explain
that.
it now.
Yeah. So my husband's like, "Wow, that's really cool. It's super progressive of Kansas City. to be on that level. And I look at him and I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm not against stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not against the neutrality that everybody can identify as how they want to identify. I'm not against that. But here's what I am worried about is I was like, as a woman who has been followed by men who I don't want to be followed by,
Right.
you run into the women's bathroom and you are safe.
Yeah.
And now you don't have that.
Right. That's true.
And that's what I told him. And he was like, oh. And he didn't know what to say to that. But I was like, yeah, no, good for Kansas City, little Missouri town, like kind of a sleeper city. Like cool to be that progressive and that forward. And the new airport's beautiful. And I had like a sad moment because I was like, look at my little hometown.
Yeah, your little,
like,
your little
stepping
airport.
up in life, like putting its name on the map, right? I was like, had a moment. Thank you, Patrick Mahomes. I had a moment. But I did tell him that I was like, as a woman who has been in Vegas and has been in scary situations, like you go into a woman's bathroom and I could have walked. Usually there's some type of house mom maid something in the women's bathroom at all times. In Vegas at all times, usually there's somebody in there, an employee. But like even in like Kansas City, Missouri, like I've had girls come up to me and they're like, hey, you want to just pretend to be my friend for a second? And I'm like,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I have 5 other friends that you are now friends with. Let's all walk out together.
Yep.
Like you don't want to talk to this guy. Psh, come on, bestie. Like,
Right. And it just, like
now-
you're saying, like,
but now that's not going to
you
be a
don't
thing.
have that because
right?
it's a red flag. If you see a man go into a women's bathroom or leave a women's bathroom, it's a red flag for everyone that saw it.
But now there's no women's or men's bathroom. Now it's just a bathroom.
Yeah. Being
Crazy,
females,
right?
Being female is a little complicated.
Crazy.
A lot of complicated. But yeah, that was
So married men.
we went from married men to being followed.
We did. That was crazy. But no, married men are wild. And I think married men, especially in Vegas, they're like, shit, I'm in Vegas with my homies. My wife's not going to know. My girl's not going to know.
It is interesting
Let's
that
do it.
most
She
of the
lives in Vegas.
girls-
I'm never going to see her again,
most of the girls that we work with are married.
Yeah, I think a majority of
That's
them are.
hilarious.
A
I'm
majority of
thinking
them
about
are
that.
married or in a serious relationship for sure.
And then most of our single girls wear rings because they don't
want to play with it.
want to deal with you guys.
Someone asked me that the other day. They were like, is that a real ring or a fake ring? And I was
Oh,
like,
I get asked that too.
talking about the diamond? I was like, what are you talking about?
It is real
I was like,
diamond.
because this is not a real diamond. Like, it's moisten it. Something? Like, it's a real gemstone, but it's not a real diamond. Like, it's a real stone.
If that's what you're asking, right? You're like, is that the
yeah,
question?
I was like, is that what you're asking? And he was like, no, like, I know girls wear fake rings, so, like, men don't talk to them. And I was like, oh, no, I'm really married.
Yeah.
I'm really married. He's
Yeah,
like,
because
oh,
mine
okay.
isn't a traditional ring either. Mine is a purple stone. I don't even know what kind of stone this is. I don't
know what a purple rock
Somebody
is.
told me, I'm sure my husband told me, it's just purple. It's purple. And yeah, a lot of people think it's fake.
Yeah.
Because it's not your traditional like diamond with a band and all that stuff.
Right.
But no, same. Yeah, I'm married.
Yeah.
And then what are we? Happily married.
Happily married. Are you married? Happily.
Happily. So anyways, all right. So that's episode
Episode
6. You do the outro this time.
Don't forget to tip your cocktail servers.
Do it again.
English is hard. I'm sorry. Don't forget to tip your cocktail servers, tip your dealers, and whatever you do, don't walk through the pit.
So we'll see you guys next time. Bye.